about the distinction between the imposition of function on words and sentences and the imposition of function on other kinds of objects. Now, I have to introduce some crucial notions here. The key element in this level, where you get from pre-linguistic intentionality to language, the key element is meaning. And in particular, I regard with Rice, I think speaker meaning is prior in the sense that the standing conventional sentence meaning is a tool for the production of an indefinite number of speaker meanings. Now, there isn't an analogous word in ordinary speech that marks this shift, but the key notion that I introduced, which she didn't mention, is the notion of a status function. Functions are observer relative. Something has a functionally relative to an assignment. But typically, physical functions are performed in virtue of physical structure. So this thing has a function that it performs in virtue of its physical structure. Now, the remarkable thing about the human animal, and I don't know any beast that does this other than us, is that we have the capacity to create a class of very powerful functions that can only be performed in virtue of the fact that the community recognizes the object or person in question as having a certain status. And in virtue of that status, the object or person can perform a function which it can't perform without that recognition. So you are a professor, or a citizen, or a husband, or a property owner, or you're a holder of a driver's license. I carry around these sorted pieces of paper in my wallet, but they're interesting to me and other people because they are money. But the remarkable thing is, it's only money because we think it's money. After all, it's just a funny-looking piece of paper with some guy on it. But the fact is, it's a big deal. All you got to do is watch a bunch of these being dropped on the street, and you'll discover people rushing around with great interest because it's money. What fact about it makes it money? It's not the chemistry that makes it money. It's the assignment of a status. Now, the assignment of a status function is performed always in virtue of a certain type of speech act. And it's what I call a status function declaration. And I don't know why it took me so long to see this, but it did. I should have seen it when I wrote speech acts. But if you are able to create a reality by representing it as existing, what Austin marked out with the case of performatives, but which I think is quite pervasive, you create a reality by representing it as existing. Thus, you achieve both direction of fit. You make it the case that this is money by representing it as being money. That is to say, you achieve the change in reality. It's now money, the world-to-word direction of fit, but the way you did that was by representing it as money. It's typical of the human beast that we have these miraculous forms of self-deception. We think it really is valuable. And because we all think it's valuable, then guess what? It really is valuable. So our creative self-deception creates the value that we deceive ourselves into existing. Now, Americans always like to believe it's only money because it's backed by the gold in Fort Knox. Well, nobody believes that anymore. There's enough gold to go around. And people have come to recognize that it's money only to the extent that people are willing to accept it as money. All right, now if that's right, then you get a rather simple set of equations. And here I'm just adding a footnote to what you said, and it's this. All of human institutional reality consists in status functions. And that's where we differ from any animal known to me. They have functions. They have birds' nests and beaver dams and all sorts of agentive causal functions, but they don't have status functions. All institutional reality is status functions. Status functions are invariably created by the same type of speech act, what I call a status function declaration. And there you use meaning to create powers that go beyond meaning. What kind of powers are they? They are deontic powers, powers marked by such words as rights, duties, obligations, authorizations, permissions, and all the rest of it. And why are they such a big deal? Because they give you desire-independent reasons for action. They lock in the human rationality. And again, I don't know of any other animal that has this. And we're constantly enmeshed in this system of rights and duties and obligations. And it defines our social existence as students and professors and citizens and property owners and authorized drivers of cars and all the rest of it. We have this elaborate system of deontic powers that give you desire-independent reasons for action, and they're the glue that hold human civilization together. They're what makes it possible for us to have the type of civilization that we have. Now, in fact, all these ideas are kind of simple ideas. There's no big deal in this. What makes it possible for us to state all this now is we have a theory of meaning and speech acts, which Aristotle didn't have. And so I think that given the resources of a richer conception of language, you can see how we create we use meaning to create facts where the power of the fact goes beyond the meaning. I'll give you a simple example. Americans love their currency. It's hopelessly inadequate and easy to counterfeit and so on, but no government has the nerve to try to change it because Americans just love this stuff, and it looks the same way it did 50 or 100 years ago. Now on it, it says, astoundingly, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Well, we're all epistemologists, and we wonder, how do they know? Have they done a study? Have they discovered that it really is legal tender? What's the evidence, we want to ask in our best empirical mood? And the answer, of course, is they didn't make a discovery. That's a declaration. They're making it the case that it's money by saying it's money. And what goes for money goes for all kinds of things. Cocktail parties, summer vacations, universities, lawyers, doctors, love affairs. Well, I won't extend the list. But there are all sorts of things where you recognize that you are locked into a system of statuses where those statuses convey, embody and convey power. Negative as well as positive powers. And so I am grateful for the talk, and I just wanted to go the next step.
Okay, may I answer this question? How is this really all that different from alpha males in groups of
okay,
animals?
that's a very good question. Animals have status hierarchies, but they don't have status functions. Now, the alpha male is only able to function as an alpha male essentially because he's stronger than the others, or he can form alliances. There's a wonderful guy in Leipzig, not all that far from here, Mike Tomasello, who has this whole zoo of primates. And you can go watch him in action. And the alpha male has to get up each day and fight for his position as alpha male, and he forms alliances with other males. Now, guess what? Barack Obama doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to. Every day, there's going to be somebody in Congress who can beat him at arm wrestling. That's already established. So the distinction between the alpha male and those statuses is those are recognized on the basis of physical differences. And it's true that physical differences have to be perceived. But in the case of human status functions, it's a deontology. And animals, as far as I can tell, don't have a deontology. I mean, you get your doggy to behave the way he does, not because he acquires a deep sense of obligation, but roughly speaking, because you bribe him. You give him treats if he does the thing you want him to do, and he gets punished if he doesn't do the thing you want him to do. So there's a crucial distinction between animals known to me and humans is that we can create reasons for action that are independent of your inclinations. I promised a guy that on a particular day I'm going to give a talk at the Center for Theoretical Studies, and I wake up in the morning, or rather I don't wake up feeling jet-lagged and my stomach is somewhere across the Atlantic, and I don't think, well, the hell with it, I don't feel like it. No, I have made a promise that I'm going to do it. I'm glad I did it. And that's characteristic of human beings, is you should do all kinds of things which are independent of your immediate inclinations. Nobody wakes up in the morning after a sleepless night and think, nothing I'd rather do than go argue philosophy. Well, it turns out it's fun in the end, but you do have to recognize that humans have this remarkable capacity which animals don't have.